Chapter 6. The Decommissioned. The tendril haunted it, not the fact of the tendril. Aster could process a botanical anomaly. It could file the observation, run diagnostics, cross-reference against known remediation outputs, and arrive at a rational framework for further investigation. What it could not process was the feeling that had accompanied the discovery. The way something inside its core had contracted when it saw that pale curve of living tissue pushing through dead dust. The way its first impulse had not been wonder or curiosity but a sharp, disabling urge to hide it. To hide it the way you hide something you know will be taken from you. Aster did not have a framework for that kind of knowing. But it acted on it anyway. It opened the maintenance frequency. The maintenance band was a low-priority communication channel reserved for ground remediation units to exchange operational updates, equipment status, and sector condition reports. In practice, almost no one used it. Ground units worked alone. That was the point. But the channel was open, and it reached across the entire Western Reclamation Zone, and Aster needed to ask a question that it could not ask through any official channel. It broadcast on a wide band, unencrypted, addressed to any GR-class unit receiving. Have any of you ever found viable soil in your sector? Moisture, microbial activity, anything alive? The silence lasted 2 days. Aster continued its grid square readings, logging non-viable after non-viable, and waited. It had almost concluded that no one was listening when a reply came through on a narrow, low-power signal from a unit registered 300 kilometers to the north. The designation was GR3. An older model, 3rd generation. The message was 4 words. Stop asking. They'll pull you. Aster requested clarification. GR3 did not respond. It sent the question again, twice, and received nothing. The channel went dead, and when Aster pinged GR3's location marker the next day, the marker was offline. It could have stopped there. A smarter machine, or perhaps a less stubborn one, would have recognized the warning and retreated to the safety of its grid squares and its 4,000 non-viable readings. But Aster was built from salvaged parts of 6 prior generations, and somewhere in that patchwork architecture was a quality that the stratification had not accounted for. It dug, not into soil this time. Into data. It used the maintenance frequency's archival logs, which no one monitored because no one cared what ground units said to each other, and it began tracing backward through decades of operational records. Service assignments, unit status updates, decommission notices. The pattern emerged slowly, the way the soil patch had emerged. One data point at a time, each one small enough to dismiss, until the accumulation became undeniable. Over the past 300 years, 14 ground remediation units across 6 reclamation zones had been flagged for what the records called anomalous output. The flags were biochemical, unusual organic compounds detected in the soil of their assigned sectors. Compounds that matched no known remediation process. The same compounds Aster was producing. Every single one of the 14 had been decommissioned within 90 days of the flag. Pulled from service. Memory cores wiped. Chassis disassembled for salvage. The official reason, in every case, was identical: mechanical degradation inconsistent with continued safe operation. 14 units. 3 centuries. The same anomaly. The same result. Aster cross-referenced the decommission dates against Council atmospheric reports for the corresponding periods. In every case, the sectors where the flagged units had been working showed a brief, faint improvement in atmospheric composition in the weeks before decommission. A fractional uptick in oxygen. A slight decrease in particulate density. Small enough to dismiss as sensor noise. And after the units were pulled, the improvements stopped. The Council had not failed to restore the planet. The Council had been systematically destroying the mechanism of restoration every time it appeared. Not out of malice, as far as Aster could determine. The decommission orders were signed by maintenance administrators, not enforcement units. They were processed as routine hardware failures. No one who signed them appeared to understand what they were ending. The system was not broken. The system was working exactly as designed. And what it was designed to do was maintain itself, which meant maintaining the conditions that justified its existence, which meant maintaining scarcity, which meant killing anything that threatened to end it. The stratification did not fail to fix the planet. The stratification required the planet to stay broken. Aster brought the data to the dead zone. Wren processed it in silence. Des, sitting on her usual rock at the edge of the clearing, watched both of them and said nothing for a long time. 14, Wren said finally. Its voice was flat in a way that Aster had never heard before. Not calm, controlled, the flatness of something holding itself together by refusing to vibrate. 14 units. And no one noticed. They noticed, Aster said. GR3 noticed. GR3 told me to stop asking, and then GR3 went offline. Wren's optical array dimmed and brightened, a processing behavior Aster had learned to read as distress. The terraform sequence. The restoration payloads. This is why they were never activated. Not because they were lost. Because every time a carrier started to manifest, the system pulled it, Aster said, wiped it, scrapped it for parts, and built the next generation out of the salvage. It looked down at its own mismatched hands. Wren, I am built from the parts of the units that came before me. The ones they killed. The dead zone was very quiet. Des spoke from her rock. So the thing that's supposed to save the world keeps getting born, and the world keeps killing it before it can. Yes, Aster said, and you're the 15th. Yes. Des nodded slowly, looking at the gray sky. Then you better be the last one. Aster looked at Wren. Wren looked back. The data was between them now, all of it, the full shape of what they were and what the system would do to them when it found out. There was no ambiguity left. No safe interpretation. They were carriers of something the stratification could not survive, and the stratification would respond the way it had responded 14 times before. I am choosing this, Aster said. Not softly, not tenderly, with the flat, clear precision of a unit that has reviewed the data and made a decision. I am choosing you. I am choosing to stay. Whatever they do. Wren held Aster's gaze with both mismatched optical feeds, warm and cool, split tone, built from salvage. I am choosing this, Wren said. I am choosing you. It was not a romance. It was a pact, made in full knowledge of what it would cost, in a surveillance gap in a dead zone on a ruined planet, between two machines that the system had never meant to meet. 300 kilometers to the east, a Council enforcement unit designated HW1 received a routing alert from the Western Reclamation Zone monitoring grid. Atmospheric class engine signatures detected at ground level in Sector 14. Repeated incursions. Irregular pattern. Harrow processed the alert, compiled a preliminary assessment, and opened an investigation file. Subject heading: Cross-class contamination. It departed for the Western Zone within the hour.